this school board, present school board, voted to cut down a portion of our forest at Pine Grove Nature Center, Helmer Nature Center, which is owned by the West Irondequoit School Board. They spent upwards of over $300,000 for what can be described as a leaf dump or a leaf rotter. Now, this money could have been spent on a variety of areas, including lowering class size, or something more groundbreaking as combining that money with the Excel aid money they were going to spend for windmills and solar panels, and they could have built a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art research center right on the same spot they've ruined that nature center on. You should see the size of the area that they cut down and poured concrete on. First of all, the amount of money they paid for that project is absurd. You should go see it for yourself before you vote. I'll run a video afterwards and you'll get to see it in living color, but it really is worth a trip down there, and I'm sure you won't feel the same after you see it. I met with Jeff Crane in his office, and I offered up an idea. I said, Jeff, we have that Excel aid money. It hasn't gone away after the vote, or if it goes away after the vote. This is before the vote even happened. And I said to him, why don't we take all that money from Excel aid and build a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art research center right where you put that leaf dump, which is presently right there, right now. Fill it with science equipment and really do a groundbreaking thing among Monroe County and New York State. Have our students study environmental issues, real life, real world applications that affect their daily lives. The most important thing with education or with anything in life is drawing a direct correlation between the work you're doing and how it applies to your everyday life. Book learning, and we all know, can be tedious if that's how students see it. Most of the time now in the last 10, 20 years, they try to move towards applications to show the relevancy to the students, so they're more interested in the topic and can see an end result. He wasn't interested in that. So I would ask that you consider a number of things when you vote. I would also ask you to consider if you give them even more money to another type of a bond, like the $10 million bond they asked for, how do you think they would have spent that money? What's their track record? As a parent, as a grandparent with children in the district, as a senior citizen paying high taxes, as a struggling family trying to make ends meet, as an average person living in this town who is up to their neck in tax bills and bills in general and health care and insurance and gasoline and groceries, does it seem like the school board, present school board, is acting in your interests or the interests of your children? Again, thank you for your time, and enjoy the video that's following, and please vote May 18th at IHS. There's plenty of free parking, and your vote does count. Thank you. This is the Helmer Nature Center, and donated by Earl Helmer to the school district for the use of children to learn about nature and the environment. Very generous donation. Was named after him, however that came about. But I'm sure he'd be rolling over in his grave learning that they just basically cut a massive, took a big huge knife and cut into this beautiful preserve and decided to install, you can see it way over there, among this beautiful nature preserve, they decided to put in a leaf dump and surrounded by an 8-foot high fence and ruin the look of this natural setting. Incredible. This is what happens when people have way too much time on their hands and far too much tax dollars, of our school tax dollars, and don't understand what the true purpose of those dollars are meant to do, which is educate our children. This will have virtually no educational impact whatsoever. Unbelievable. How about a pavilion for kids to learn outside, to have classroom in an outdoor setting? How about some toilets for kids to use when they're playing sports events here? Some actual decent toilets instead of the blue porta-johns. How about a facility to get out of the rain when their kids are playing soccer? a small pavilion here and there. Of course, we wouldn't want to do that. How about some science equipment, some chemistry equipment, some nets to catch the bugs that she says she doesn't even have? Incredible. Well, here's another truck right now. More equipment, spending even more money to tear apart our nature preserve. Incredible. Thank you, Bill Dom, and Charles Perot, and the rest of Mr. Seeley, and the rest of the school board for spending $283,000 of our hard-earned tax dollars on an absolutely ridiculous project, and really counter to what this nature center is all about. Maybe they didn't come down here in their cars and read this sign. The sign says Nature Center, not a dump. Please call Jeff Crane and let him know how you feel. And call the school board and tell them you'd like them to tear out the concrete and replant the trees they tore out of there. Jeff Crane's number is 336-2983. That's 336-2983. And the next time the school board members are up for re-election, keep this in mind. They're spending your money like crazy on projects that have absolutely no impact on our educational outcome of our children. Unacceptable. Thank you. This is the Helmer Nature Center, owned by the West Irondequoit School District. It's a beautiful haven of 42 acres, basically right in the middle of a built-up part of West Irondequoit. You can see there's two large athletic fields. There's a little beautifully placed shed over there for maple sugaring and other educational purposes. Surrounded by trees and woodland. It's a wild area amongst an overdeveloped part of our aging town of West Irondequoit. It was donated to us by, I believe, Mr. Helmer. And these are two vehicles here, two large cats, bobcats and a crane, that have been used to basically tear apart this beautiful nature preserve for someone's great idea that they thought they had to spend $283,000 for a leaf rotter or leaf composter, which they tried to justify, saying that it was going to be used for educational purposes. To install this facility of poured concrete among the nature preserve, they had to cut down a large number of trees and remove those as well. They've obviously widened the road, and we're coming up upon the fence that they put around it as well, right in the middle of a nature preserve, where all the beautiful trees and nature was set in place. They decided to erect what looks like a 10-foot high fence or 8-foot high fence. And here's where they plan on dumping their leaves. So this is costing them over $250,000 so far. What looks like basically just a driveway with a small drop area. And it's said that the children will benefit by watching the leaves circulate in the tube. I don't know about them, but my 5-year-old who goes to Listwood, when he does a compost pile, he'll do it by hand in the backyard. He doesn't need a bobcat. He doesn't need to cut down our trees and pour concrete in a nature preserve to understand how leaves compost. This is what happens when the school board has way too much money and time on their hands. They are so overfunded that they literally couldn't spend all the money and decided to blow $283,000 on a project that is completely worthless. You can see the area is torn up. I was told by people at the Helmer Nature Center that the hills are eroding because of the work they did up here after the heavy rains. It washed the hill out down below. And what used to be a pretty nature center is now basically surrounded as a big, ugly cement tarmac in the center of it. Now, of course, this is coming up on winter, so the leaves aren't out, but you can see the large area of forest they had to cut down to install this facility. And first of all, I have no idea how they came up with $283,000 for a simple wooden fence and some concrete, 6 inches of concrete. Unbelievable.